Hi everyone, Dr. Mike here. Let's talk about carbohydrates as one of the four major types of macromolecules. Remember, you got carbs, proteins, fats, and nucleic acids, also known as nucleotides. Now, carbohydrates, if we think about what they're composed of, you'll find that carbohydrates are composed of carbo, being carbon, atoms, hydrate, talking about water, and we know water is made up of hydrogen and oxygen, so carbohydrates are made up of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. That's basically it. Now you'll find that all these macromolecules, whether it be proteins, fats, carbs, or nucleic acids, are simply made up of hydrocarbons, being a bunch of carbons connected to a bunch of hydrogens. Now when we look at carbohydrates, pretty much all of them are in this ring-shaped fashion. And you can either have them alone, which we call monosaccharides, meaning one sugar. You can have them connected together, which we call disaccharides. So that's two sugar molecules clicked together. Or you can have a whole bunch of them clicked together, which we call polysaccharides. Now, the human body by mass is made up of 1% carbohydrates. And predominantly we use carbohydrates for energy. You'll find carbohydrates on cells, in cell membranes, you'll find them associated with genetic material, but predominantly the functional role for carbohydrates is going to be energy production. Now, if we have a look, there's three main types of monosaccharides, what we term the simple sugars, and this includes glucose, fructose, and galactose, which you've probably heard of before. Now, if you have a look, they are all made up of carbons, hydrogens, and oxygens, and you'll actually find that they have the exact same chemical formula, C6H12O6. So there's 6 carbons, 12 hydrogens, and 6 oxygens. The only difference between those three is that they're arranged differently. So glucose, which is our primary monosaccharide, this is the main one we use to produce energy, you can see this is the arrangement of all the carbons, all the hydrogens, all the oxygens. Okay, you can see the carbon ring with all the hydrogen and oxygens coming off. Then when we look at fructose, still C6H12O6, it looks very similar, but there are a couple of differences. Same goes for galactose, very similar, couple of differences. They're termed isomers of glucose. In actual fact, when you ingest foodstuffs, what will happen is, once it's absorbed from the intestines into your bloodstream, it goes to your liver will convert galactose and fructose to glucose, either to use the glucose for energy or to store the glucose as a polysaccharide, which we term glycogen. But I'll get to that in 1 second. Now, what can happen is you can ingest these carbohydrates as disaccharides, and when you have a look at these carbohydrates, for example, if you were to connect a glucose and a galactose together, you'd have to do it through a process called dehydration. You've heard that term before, dehydration. It means you don't have enough water in your body, right? So a dehydration reaction simply means you release or you remove a water molecule from the reaction. It's very easy. If we first start off by connecting a glucose with a fructose, for example, that's termed sucrose. So that's what sucrose is, simply a glucose connected to a fructose. The way you do it through a dehydration reaction is water needs to be removed. Water is H2O, 2 hydrogen, 1 oxygen. There's a hydrogen, there's a hydrogen, there's an oxygen. So you remove them away and then those 2 carbons can click together. That's how you form sucrose in a dehydration reaction. When you want to separate them, it's a rehydration reaction. You've got to put that water molecule back in. Now, if we were to connect glucose and galactose together, we form something that's called lactose. And some people are lactose intolerant, which means when they ingest milk products where you predominantly find glucose and galactose stuck together, you need an enzyme in your body that snips off that 2 bonds. So remember, you got that water molecule you've taken away that water molecule, the carbons are held together, you need to rehydrate to break them apart, and you need an enzyme to do this rehydration process. When you're rehydrating that of lactose, it's an enzyme called lactase, A-S-E. And for some of us, we no longer produce lactase, and so we don't have the scissors that allows for us to cut that bond. And so what happens is, the glucose and the galactose remain stuck together and continue to move through our intestines. We need to break this down into glucose and galactose in order for it to get absorbed from our intestines into the bloodstream so we can use it. If it doesn't snap apart through this hydration process, they stay together and it continues to move through the digestive tract. Now, this is a larger molecule, and when you've got larger molecules moving in bulk through your intestines, it actually pulls water towards it. This is called an osmotic effect. And if it pulls water towards it, now your intestines are filled with water, and that goes out in the fecal material, which we call diarrhea. So this is why lactose intolerance can result in diarrhea. Okay, the other thing is, what if we were to click together fructose and galactose? Well, in actual fact, this doesn't happen. So you don't actually get a disaccharide of fructose and galactose. Now, like I said, fructose and galactose will ultimately turn in at the liver to glucose. And so now we've got a whole bunch of glucose molecules in our liver. We can either use it to form ATP, energy, or we can store it and click all the glucose molecules together to form what we call polysaccharides, which means many sugars. Now, there's different types. You can actually ingest polysaccharides from plants, and they are called starches or cellulose, okay? Or you can ingest it from animals, which is called glycogen, and we store our glucose as glycogen, okay? Now the thing is, when you ingest a polysaccharide as cellulose from a plant material, we don't have the enzymes that break those bonds, remember, that rehydrate the process. So cellulose, which you find in leafy greens, you also find in lettuce, you find even in grass, for example. If we were to eat grass, which we don't do, there's heaps of carbohydrates there, but we can't break them up into these monosaccharides because we don't have the enzymes. Now cows, for example, do have the enzymes, so they can get all the energy they need from just eating grass, but we can't, okay? So what happens is we eat lettuce, for example, we don't break it down, but it forms fiber. So fiber are these indigestible polysaccharides that we can't break down. Bulks up the stool, helps push everything through. But we do have the enzyme that breaks down starch and glycogen, okay? And what you can see is the way they're stacked together are different. For cellulose, it's one long linear bit of glucose connected together. Starch is a whole bunch of glucose molecules connected together in a branch-like fashion, and glycogen is extremely branched. And this is the way that we store glucose. So when we look at macromolecules, this is how carbohydrates are stored and made.